hard fought in the end, but 43 points. So how did you assess that game?
Yeah, I thought the score blew out late, but it wasn't reflective of the way most of the game was played. Now, having said that, we started well. We just didn't take our shots, and they were obviously very efficient. But I thought it was I struggled to tell in terms of the spectacle because we watched the game differently, but it seemed to me to be a pretty high standard game. There was certainly, there was no suggestion from our end that we weren't up for the fight. We just thought the opposition were pretty good.
Intensity stayed up. Your tackling was through a contested ball. Did you feel if you kept that up, you had them?
No, I wasn't that confident. But what we are confident in is the way we finish games. And you can't rely on that. There'll come a point where if you keep talking about how good you are without doing it, it doesn't make it so anymore. But again, at three-quarter time, the game was right on the line. I thought that we finished off the game well, not only in terms of the stuff you're talking about, the contested ball, the tackling. And they've got some strong plays in there. We needed to tackle well. But, yeah, we just... Again, I've probably said it a few times publicly, our side is different to the one that we had 4 or 5 years ago. And we tend to sort of move with the shifts in our personnel in terms of the way we play. And one of the things that is pretty strong at the moment is our ability to close out games.
How did you assess the Ruben Jimby, Jeremy Cameron matchup? It was fascinating pretty much the whole night.
Yeah. Did he kick 5? Yeah, sort of
4.
probably a bit reflective of the game. It was really, I thought it was competitive, and then it just blew out a bit at the end. And I don't think anyone should concentrate on the last bit too much. I thought it was a pretty good battle.
You sent Ocean to Harley as well, and like I said, probably another even game. They both sort of had their moments. How did you assess that one?
Yeah, so yeah, he did go to him at times, and that's just a mark of respect, or at least it says something about how we feel about Harley's threat. But we were a bit torn as well because obviously we rate Tim Kelly very, very highly, and they really have some punch in there now. Like Brockman's added some speed, he's in good form. Hewitt's a good young player. They've got some threat. So it wasn't as if it was obvious for us to send O'Sheen to Harley, and it wasn't that way for the whole day. But as I said, I thought that reference about the contested ball, the tackling, we thought it was pretty hot in there. It certainly wasn't like gone are the days where you kind of think you're playing the team that's on the bottom of the ladder. It's going to be an easy day. We watched the last month really closely, and we got what we expected. They were good.
You touched on that earlier in terms of the final quarters. How much confidence does that give the team when a game is close to three-quarter time that history has been on your side recently in that sense?
Well, as I said, if you just sort of rely on history, then you get bitten. But there has to be good rationale for it. It's not just one of those things where we think we happen to be a good last quarter team. I wonder why it is. Like, the reasons we have been are really clear, but you need to go after that. And yeah, again, we have some players. Blitzarves has been the obvious one over the years, even at his age. That the longer the game goes, the better he gets. And it used to be that we had 1 or 2 of them, and now we've got a lot more.
Was there frustration at quarter time that you had the game pretty much living in your half? You dominated, but you only had a couple of goal lead. Was there that bit of a frustration that you're away from home, you've started so well, but you weren't getting bang for buck?
Yeah, it's always frustrating when you feel like you have the run of the game and you don't convert. It gives the opposition a bit of hope. And what also can happen in the modern game is when you are pounding away in your forward half, you open yourself up a little bit for that fast rebound, and they took advantage of that a few times to give them a bit of hope. But again, I'm not sure that if we were 4 or 5 goals up at quarter time that it would have changed the game that much. I thought, we were up for a really competitive game, and it's clear the way that they're trying to play. And again, I try not to spend too much time talking about opposition teams, at least publicly, but they're a lot better team than they were 8 weeks ago.
What do you make of the fact that obviously you know Paddy for a while, but your team's still ability to put on 17 goals and spread that load among so many players? It must be really impressive for you though too, just sitting back watching that.
Yeah, I think every team already about the halfway mark of the year has sort of had patches where they're where they've had to deal with some injuries to their better players. And we've been working away for a long time at trying to develop a squad that can still play well without Tom Stewart or without Paddy Dangerfield. And I'm not saying we're there yet, but it's not. I don't think we're coming away from games thinking we're no good unless those guys are in the team. So he'll come back in next week, and I'm sure he will help us. But again, it's not anything that. I mean, there are clubs who are struggling with injury much worse than us.
Smith, tonight another big game from him. What did you make of his display?
Yeah, I mean, he just kept getting the ball early. Thought he and Holmes were really penetrating, and we obviously weren't as effective going into our forward half as we would have liked to be. But yeah, I thought he was terrific. And again, I'm not the best person to ask straight after the game around individuals. I need a bit of time to analyse it. I just don't watch the individuals as much. And even I knew he had 18 touches early in the second quarter, and I think touches are overrated. So if I know, then everyone knows.
And you just mentioned Dangerfield is back next week. How's he been tracking fitness-wise, and what are you expecting from him?
Yeah, he trained fully during the week. So, if this was our last game of the year, he would have played. So that gives us confidence he'll be right.
Reece Stanley comes in. He's obviously a veteran of your side, and he does such a good job for you. Even hit the scoreboard tonight. How good is it to see someone like that just keep turning up, being able to do a role for you?
Yeah, we're really pleased with Reece. I kind of it's unfair to bucket them together, but there are some similarities between Mitch Duncan and Reece Stanley. We're quite open and transparent with them that early in the year we were going to prioritise younger players, but they've played their way into the team and become really important for us right at the moment. So every team at this stage of the year is trying to, like even the clubs that are rebuilding a little bit, are trying to develop some depth in their squad, and we've thought for a long time that the old guys have a role to play. And I'm not saying that it was our good work to get them back into the team. They played their way into the team and, pretty valuable for us.
Are they the sort of guys that you'll continue to rest from here, though, out, that you'll continue to keep them as fresh as you can keep them?
Probably. That's been our way for 15 years now. But yeah, I mean, I hesitate to talk about it too much because it implies that we think we're going so well that we're going to start managing our squad. Like, it's more a reference to we always, most of the time, we think that if you're going to be the best team at the end of the year, you're going to need 28, 30 players playing at a high level throughout the year. So we've got a couple of injuries, guys that will come back, and that'll force some decisions. But I don't think we'll be overly proactive in taking out our best players.
How do you plan to use Dangerfield over the next few weeks, knowing he is coming back from a soft tissue?
Yeah, mainly as a forward, but again, I think you know me well enough to know I don't explain our plans to the opposition too often. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much.